Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are going to fly the brand new Cirrus SR22T from the Sim Update 14. There's a great lot of changes coming with this one, with the first update of the Sim Update 14 beta, and in particular we've got a brand new art and model of the SR22T G6 GTS, a completely reworked flight model and performance featuring CFD with book-accurate performance and pilot-tested hand flying, a modern propeller system, new turb and fuel engine systems, a custom ECU, engine computer and EGT and CHT simulation, custom lean misfire, detonation and engine failure simulations. So a great new engine simulation we've got in the airplane. On top we've got a full perspective plus features implemented into the G1000 NXI, which I'm going to show you in action on this flight. Also, we've got flight in the known icing and TKS simulation, and the weather conditions are just about perfect to try that out today on our flight from St. Peter-Ording in northern Germany towards Lübeck. Now, apart from that, we've also got a stabilized approach system with a PFD alerting and monitoring for bar mismatch, crosswind, tailwind, flaps, lateral deviation and vertical deviation. We've got an updated electronic instrument system with custom reversionary mode. We've got a lean assist, fuel flow green band and cyan fuel flow lean target indicators. We have a fully modeled GSU479 Garmin control unit keypad. We have new autopilot modes, including the wings level, takeoff and go-around modes, and we have a large suite of accurate crew alert system messages, including new G1000 NXI alerts, acknowledgement and menu behavior. So overall, we basically have an entirely new airplane that we are going to fly today. Looking at about a short 30 to 35 minutes trip. So how about we just have a look at the outside model before we are going to turn to the inside. So I'm going to start right up here at the doors. Unfortunately, they still don't open. I'm not sure why Asobo made that design decision for all their default aircraft, but that's what it is right now. Right, so quick look to the front of the aircraft, and that's really some spectacularly good modeling if we have a look at the screws and everything over there. So really good modeling, very close up as well. Apart from that, that's our engine inlets down here. And just take note of the landing light down here, which once again received very good treatment. Quick look down at the nose wheel, which also looks just like what I'm used to from the real world. So really good looking model that we've got here. Alright, so that's our leading edge, and you can already see it's de-iced, and also have a look down here at the front part of the wing with the nav lights, the landing lights and so on. So that's looking absolutely spectacular. I don't think an add-on developer could have done it much better than this. Also a quick look down here into the linkages on the tailplane, and a very quick look up here to the antennas. That's a spectacular model. It really is. Alright, so that's pretty much the outside model. So follow me to the inside, where we are going to have a look around the inside cabin. The inside's also been reworked. You can already see it coming in. We've got a brand new keypad down here, and the good news is all of that stuff actually works. So as you can see, loads of new features in the SR22, and it basically is an entirely new airplane. Alright, let's take it flying then. Before starting engine checks, pre-flight inspection complete, emergency equipment on board, passengers briefed, seatbelts and harnesses adjusted and secure. Okay, so let's continue with the starting engine checks. External power, if applicable, connect. Well, we don't have it available today. Brakes hold. Parking brake is set down here. So, battery master switches. On number 1 and 2. Going to switch the lights off down there. That's our G1000 starting up. Looking good. Okay, strobe light on. Mixture. Full rich. Prop lever. Full forward. Fuel pump, we're going to prime for 2 seconds. 21, 22, and then we put it into the boost position. Okay, so the prop area is clear in the front over there. Then we can go ahead, open our power lever by 1/4 of an inch, like that. Okay, and then we can go ahead with the startup of our engine.
Clear prop.
Looking good. The engine is running. Okay then, so power lever retard to maintain 1000 RPMs. Pretty much like this. Okay, oil pressure check down here. Also nice to see, by the way, we've got an outside air temperature here of -4 degrees. But look at the oil pressure, which is rather on the high range of the green. I'm not sure if it's actually simulated that way, but in the real world, when you start an engine that's rather cold, like it is right now at -4, the oil pressure is going to get rather high. Because, well, as you can somewhat imagine, the lower oil pressure or the lower oil temperature leads to less viscosity, so for that reason you get a higher pressure. Okay, we can see the first feature in action down there already with the warnings. So you can see with a warning flashing up here, we get the caution button flashing down here as well. We click on that and then we get the alert displayed. So again, if we click on it again, you can see it stops flashing and goes back to normal. Okay, then let's continue. So alternator switch is on, avionics switch on, and with that our MFD is also starting up. So here we go, and look at that, it's got the automatic checklist system implemented now. So you can see this is pretty much what we've done already. So we'll just check through those as our engine is running already. So starting engine, all of that stuff we have basically done. So the airplane is powered up now. Okay, cool. So before we go into the before taxi stuff though, let's quickly go to the engine display. Then that's all new as well, by the way. But then let's go into the fuel and weight and balance, because this is all new. And here's something we need to do. So we just loaded up a little bit of fuel. We are at around about 70%. So I do believe this looks okay, but we can also just adjust it with the inner knob down here. So I'd say something like that probably looks good over here with 70%. Okay, and then we can hit enter. That leads us to the weight and balance page. And on here we can again just insert our numbers. So let's say down, oops, that was the wrong button. So engine, fuel, weight and balance, here we go. Right, gotta click on it, of course. Here we go. So taxi fuel, we can change that as we need. So for example, let's say we need 10 pounds of taxi fuel. That includes the Runup, by the way. Hit enter. And go to the next. Fuel reserves, can enter that from your flight plan. And then up here we can enter the actual weight of our passengers on board. Hit confirm. And with that, our weight and balance is pretty much done. So if we just go back to that page, you can see up here, we've now got the weight and balance information in there. And that is what you actually need to prove to the authority that you did that part of your flight planning. So that stuff over here is quite important to do. Alright, so then I suppose we just go back, confirm our weight and balance as it is. Open up the checklist again, so before taxi checks, flaps up, as you can see they are. Then radios and avionics, that's going to be the next interesting part that we'll do in a moment. Okay, cabin heat and defrost, tell you what, I'm going to turn that all the way up because it is pretty cold outside. And fuel selector, switch tank, that's just to check that the system itself is actually still working. So let's get rid of the armrest and put that forward, and here we are. Okay, cool. So as you can see, that thing still works. That's the before taxi checklist complete. So let's now go ahead and enter our flight plan. This is all new as well. So as you can see, we've got a keyboard down here now. So we're departing Echo Delta X-Ray Oscar, like so. We can select the runway, not that it would make much of a difference because we don't have SIDS over here, so it's going to be VFR departure. Our destination, however, is going to be Echo Delta Hotel Lima, and over in Lübeck they absolutely do have IFR procedures. So let's select runway 07 over there as well. And then we can move to our en route stuff and enter our route. So we're going to depart via Bardos, So that's the VFR part of the flight towards Barros. Thereafter we fly to Renzu. And then we can move one further and fly towards Bokmu, and from there we enter the star. So instead of entering Bokmu, I'll just go procedure, arrival, Bokmu 1 Victor arrival, and we can load that up. And finally we are also going to insert the approach, which is going to be an ILS runway 07 from the Hotel Lima 265. Alright, load the approach in, and here we go. So that's very cool. Also, we still have our Navigraph plugin, so we can still go to the charts, and for example over here we can select our frequency over here. Transfer to COM1 active, please, thank you. So with that we've just got the frequency of St. Peter-Ording in radio tuned automatically. COM2 we are going to set to 21.5 for the emergencies, like that. And obviously we are going to monitor both. Alright. And that is that. Very cool. So the G1000 is getting a really cool thing over here. Initially we're going to climb to something like 3000 or so, and then when we've got IFR clearance we're going to climb higher. Let's just put it that way. Come on. Here we go, 3000 is set, the QNH 1002 is looking okay. Then a quick look over our primary flight display. Map HSI, that's basically as I want it to be. PFD options, let's bring on the DME, bearing 1 and bearing 2. Then we're going to select GPS straight away. On the transponder we can turn on, and the timer and references down here are looking good. Okay, perfect. So that stuff is basically set up. Okay, cool. I'll just switch over to the engine page over here for our taxi, and that's it. Alright, so very quick look at the checklist, see what's next. Taxi checklist, that's going to be park and brake disengage, brake check, HSI orientation check, attitude gyro check, turn coordinated check. Okay, I'm going to tick them all off, and then we just do it while we taxi. Alright. Very good, so that is our new pre-flight procedure in the SR22. And I gotta say, it looks really amazing. I mean, I've only flown an SR22 twice, and that only as a passenger from the right-hand seat, and that's what I remember the plane to be like. Okay, just one difference. It is pretty cold outside, so I'm going to deviate from the procedure by turning the pitot heat on already. I just want to make sure that we don't run into any trouble with that. Okay, so that's it. Park and brake released. Brakes checked, looking good. And then we can go. Okay, just reducing my power a little bit further. Looking for 1000 psi. Sorry, psi, 1000 RPMs, of course. So the windsock is quite clearly for runway 07. So let's turn out to the right over here, and we're going to go into position. So notice how the holding point is a little bit displaced to the side here. Let's just bring our plane into position like that. Set the park and brake. Here it is. And let's just have a very quick look outside. So, as you can see, if we are parking directly in front of the holding position here in St. Peter-Ording, the airplane is now facing towards the bushes over there and no longer facing towards the restaurant. So if we start doing a run-up in a moment, then we're not going to blow everybody's food away, but instead we're only going to blow a couple of leaves out of the bushes. So that's the reason for the displaced holding point over there. But I gotta say, I really like it. I really do. Okay, so park and brake caution, just click it and you can see now it's no longer flashing. Alright, cool. So let's just go over into the checklist once again. Oops, that's the wrong button. That's what we're looking for. Open. Okay, so normal procedures before takeoff. Warning, do not take off with frost, ice, snow or other contamination on the fuselage, wing stabilizers and control surfaces. So everything is looking clear. The rest of it we checked on the walk around already. Okay, next item. Caution, because this aircraft has a turbocharged system that maintains 36 inches manifold pressure for all takeoffs, the mixture should be full rich for takeoff, even at high elevation airports. Leaning for takeoff and during maximum performance climb may cause excessive cylinder head temperatures. Understood. So, doors latched, caps handle. That's the pin removed up there. Seatbelts and shoulder harness secure. Air conditioner as desired. Caution, use of recirc mode prohibited in flight. Note, aircraft with operational air conditioning system at 100 feet to ground roll distance and 150 feet to distance over 50-foot obstacle if air conditioner is on during takeoff. Roger. Fuel quantity confirmed, so that's about 70% in there, that's looking good. Fuel selector full of tank, it is. Fuel pump set to boost. Mixture full rich. Flaps set 50% and check. So that's down here. And a 50%, and a quick look outside tells us the flaps have indeed moved into position. Okay, transponder set. So, transponder on out. Autopilot checked, so technically speaking we should turn it on, see that it's reacting, but gonna leave that part out. Okay, navigation radios and GPS set for takeoff. Cabin heat and defrost as required, brakes hold, power lever 1700 RPMs, so that's where we do our run up now. Park and brake is set. Quick look outside while we are increasing power, the airplane is holding, very good. And that's 1700 RPMs roughly. Okay, alternator check. We'll quickly go over here, alternators are looking good. Okay, pitot heat on. It already is. Navigation lights on. Landing lights on. Annunciator lights checked. Verify both alternator 1 and alternator 2 caution lights out and positive amps indication for each alternator. We saw the positive to amps earlier and we don't see the caution over here. Voltage check. So we're at 28.2, that's good. Pitot heat is going to stay on. Note for pitot heat should be turned on for flight into IMC, flight into visible moisture, or whenever ambient temperatures are 5 degrees centigrade or less. So yeah, it is definitely going to stay on. Nav lights on, landing lights on, magnetos, check left and right. RPM drop must not exceed 150 RPMs for either magneto, RPM differential must not exceed 75 RPMs between magnetos. Okay then, let's give it a try. That's right. We're down to 1670. Both. Increasing back to 1708. Left. 1670. Both. And increasing again. That's looking good. Okay, so the ignition is checked. Enter parameters checked. Power lever reduced to 1000 RPMs. Like so. Flight instruments, HSI and altimeter. Okay, that is all looking correct. So checked and set. Flight controls, let's do a quick check. Okay, flight controls checked. Trim set for takeoff. If any one of you knows where to find the trim indications on this plane, because I really looked for them for a bit, but even when moving something, I just couldn't detect anything to move down here. So if any of you knows where to find the trim indication, please do put it in the comments below. So, autopilot disconnect, it is. If icing conditions are anticipated immediately after takeoff. Yeah, no, not immediately, but quite shortly thereafter. Let's just read over that. And I tell you honestly, we'll just put it on. So, ice protect system switch on. Then, ice protect mode switch norm. That's a norm. Pitot heat switch on. It's on. Cabin heat switch hot. So that's over here, and that's set to hot. Windshield defrost on. I suppose that's that one, but I am not sure where to find any system response for that. Is it on the any ice page over here? But we don't really have any, so, well, suppose that is okay. So we'll talk more about that stuff in flight, so we'll just leave it on where it is right now. Back to the checklist. Windshield defrost on. That's, as far as I'm aware, up here, but, well. Okay, verify airframe is free of contamination immediately before takeoff. Flaps retract as soon as practical, and that's the before takeoff checklist complete. So airframe is definitely clear right now. Alright, so just a quick look over the takeoff procedures. Brakes release, steer with the rudder only, power lever then full forward. Engine parameters check, elevator control, rotate smoothly at 77 through 80 knots. At 90 knots, flaps up, and note with fuel boost should be left on during takeoff, and for climb as required for vapor suppression with hot or warm fuel. Roger. Short fuel takeoff, we don't intend to do that, so we're going to skip over it. Alright. Next up is climb, and that's it. Cool. So with that, we are all set up for our takeoff. Anti-ice speed, yeah, it's fine. Can we cancel that? Looks like we can't. In that case... Or is it just due to engine power? Just try something. No, doesn't look like it. Okay, well in that case I don't want anything flashing, so I'm gonna turn the ice protection system off here. But just to remember that after takeoff. Okay, so transponder is on and we are pretty much done with everything, so let's prepare our timer. Release park and brake, and off we go. Okay, right side is clear, left side is clear. Oh boy, that was an A330 lineup. Okay, takeoff. Power set. 60 knots. Rotate. Positive climb. Don't have a retractable landing gear on here. Okay, passing 90 knots. Flaps up. (110 to 120) is our en route climb speed, so that's what we're looking for. Yaw damper is automatically engaged. Clear on the right. Let's leave the traffic pattern over here. Look at the top of our windshield. We got a little bit of icing on there. Okay, entering a bit of turbulence. Ew, that's quite a bit of icing that we're picking up, so certainly going to turn the ice protection system on again. But now it also works without giving us any caution. Okay. Cool, so let's just turn back into our supposed direction of flight. Pretty much like so. Trim it out. Here we go. Okay, so if I just put the autopilot on like that, it should maintain roll and pitch. Now let's try the new function, the wing level function. So look at that. I'm going wings level and maintaining altitude. That's quite cool, isn't it? Okay, so level change is going on. We can already climb to a slightly higher altitude as well. Let's do something like level 80 initially. And then we can just go over here, direct to, BARDOS, enter, activate, and put it into nav mode. So now I've got GPS, autopilot, yaw damper, flight level change, and we can change that speed to 120 knots, which is our target climb speed. Alright, that's looking good. We are on the way. Don't need that timer anymore, but we can go into the full power, ridge of peak technique. Okay, oxygen as required. That switch is down here, but unfortunately we can't click that yet, so looks like the oxygen system is not simulated at this point. Hopefully that's going to come with a later update, as the oxygen system in the SR22 is quite important actually. Okay, so we'll just assume the oxygen is working. Power lever full forward, mixture, maintain fuel flow in green arc, and the green arc is what we've got over here. So with the mixture lever, we just make sure the fuel flow is actually staying inside here. Okay, flaps, verify up. Yep, definitely up. Airspeed 120 knots, that's what we're doing. Fuel pump boost, fuel flow monitor, engine parameters monitor. And note the fuel pump should be in boost position during takeoff and for climb as required for vapor suppression with hot or warm fuel. Well, tell you honestly, our fuel is absolutely not warm as we've just loaded it up in pretty cold conditions. So let's turn the fuel pump off. Okay, that leads us to the lean off peak technique checklist. We can just cancel that out as we're not going to use it. Okay, next up is going to be cruise, so let's just go back to our normal nav map, or we might even bring up the engine instruments, because we got a map down here on the PFD as well. Okay, we've passed transition altitude, set standard. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 64. Now. Checked. Okay, looking good. Then let's continue the climb. We're looking for a flight level 170 for today's flight. I just want to get the plane up into the icing, just to see how all of that stuff is going to work. So with that, we are pretty much established in the climb. Let's have a quick look from the outside how that looks. It certainly looks turbulent, man. It certainly does. Look at that, man. Is that FS realistic or is that the simulator itself? Let's just quickly turn FS realistic off. Now it's off. But the plane is still doing the same movements, huh? Yeah, it is. Well, in that case, we can blame it on the simulator itself and not on FS realistic. So we are just going to switch it back on again. Here we go. That's FS realistic running again. No difference on the airplane's handling, so I suppose that's just what it is. Even though it would be interesting to check if it might be the yaw damper, so let's just go to the back of the plane and have a look at how the rudder is moving. If it is moving at all, that is. But no, that's no flight control inputs that's causing this kind of turbulence. Well, so we are just going to continue to fly like that, I suppose. Nice to look down there, by the way, and see a couple of fields being snowy at the moment. This is indeed my second recording of this video. On the first one, it was actually snowing over in St. Peter-Ording, but I forgot that I had the SR22 improvement mod installed, and that improvement mod conflicts with the new version, so I had to remove it and then start recording it all over again. But it was worth it. There were really a couple of conflicts that were caused by this, so yeah. I should just have read before I started recording. That's what I got. But that is a beautiful model, isn't it? It looks really, really nice, if you ask me. It really does. Look at that. Right. Let's go back inside. We've passed 10,000 feet already. Got an advisory over there. Exit icing. Why is that? Well, I'll ignore that. I'm a good pilot. I'm ignoring my advisories. So thank you very much. That advisory is noted. Okay, passing 10,000. Landing lights can go off. Obviously, at this point, we'd have to make sure that the oxygen system is actually working. But I suppose it's fine like that as well. So, a couple of words on the airplane's anti-icing system. The TKS system is actually fully modeled, they said, in the changelog. So let's have a quick look at that. We're going to fly a right-hand turn here in a moment, and that's probably going to lead us right into those clouds that we've got up there. But before we enter those, quick look at the ice protection system down here, making sure that everything is actually working. And we've got the ice protection information down here. And you can see there is a gallon indication down there, indicating that there is fluid in the system. And indeed there is, because the anti-icing system in the SR22 is based on an anti-icing fluid that the airplane is automatically spraying on its leading edges, freeing the edges of fluid. Or, sorry, of ice, I should say. And that's how the anti-icing system works in the SR22. So, naturally, you can see that we are limited by the amount of fluid that we are carrying. And therefore, we've got the indications down here, like if we switch the system to maximum, we'd have fluid for half an hour. On high, for an hour and 2, and on norm, which is where we are flying right now, we've got fluid for 2 hours of de-icing. Alright, so entering the cloud, and we should definitely find some ice in here. And tell you what, let's just turn that anti-icing system off for a second. Now I can see that the range is unlimited. And I just want to see what kind of effect this is going to have if we are actually catching up some ice. And if we do, then I'm going to turn the system back on, and we are going to have another look through the removal of the ice. But looks like we are not picking up anything right now. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's minus 30 degrees outside, so it might actually be a little bit cold. In general, we say from minus 40 degrees we would no longer be picking up any ice, because the water in it is so frozen that it would just bounce off the plane. But looks like we are experiencing just that phenomenon. Keep in mind the minus 40 we are using in the airlines is, well, a very conservative number, I should say. The most severe icing conditions are usually experienced between about 0 and minus 10 degrees centigrade, with the temperatures just under 0 being generally the worst conditions. Okay, about to reach level 170. The next thing we want to have a look at is our oxygen. So right now, we've got 1,750 psi of oxygen. Obviously, we would be using oxygen right now, but I can't turn that switch on, unfortunately. So maybe for that reason, it's not using any oxygen, but we're going to keep an eye on that if that pressure is eventually going to reduce. Okay, altitude capture. And leveling off at 170. Okay, let's have the plane accelerate a little bit, and then I am going to reduce power. About 70%, 75 is usually a good number for cruise in most aircraft. So let's start with 75 and see what kind of numbers it's going to give us. That's obviously on the rather fuel-intensive side of things. You can see over here right now we haven't leaned the engine yet, so let's just go into that and into the lean assist. So now with the lean assist, it's basically picking the highest cylinder we have over there. And now we're going to start leaning a bit. I'm just going to move over to the other seat so that we can actually reach the lever down there. No, that's the power lever still. Here we go. So now I am starting to lean. You can see our temperatures are already dropping, so we've been rather close to the peak already. Obviously, we could just go for the obvious choice and, you know, just lean it until you're eventually reaching the target number over here. But look at that, temperatures are rising. So basically, we are going to lean until the temperatures start dropping again, like here they do. And now you can see that we are below the peak EGT. We don't want to be below that. We want to put it directly to the peak. So let's just increase it a bit again. And here we go. That's pretty much our peak. So like that, we've leaned the plane to the optimum conditions now. You can see a little bit below the target, so it's always worth doing that. Alright, very good. And that's pretty much how we are going to lean those engines. Okay, fuel imbalance advisory. Let's have a quick look into the fuel. So yeah, we can see we use fuel from the right-hand tank for that part of the flight. So let's just go back to the pilot seat, and then we are first of all going to turn on the fuel pump to boost. And now let's switch it over to the left tank. Engine keeps running. Looks good. And boost pump going back off. Right, problem solved. Alright, and that's pretty much it. That's how you do the leading part of things. Also nice to see we're getting all those advisories. So yeah, fuel imbalance, we're correcting that. So let's quickly, we've passed the calculate top of descent, but let's quickly go ahead and have a look at what it would actually be like. So flight plan, yeah, set on a 3-degree path over there, but Bokmu in 4000 is also much too low. So the procedure tells us to trust Bokmu. Well, I tell you what, we're just gonna have a look at the procedure. So give me the charts for Lübeck, star charts. Do we not have anything in here? Well, looks like them. Here it is. Perfect. That's what we've been looking for. As you can see, minimum altitude is 4000, but up here at Bokmu, we got to be below flight level 110. And then from there, we're going to join the approach later on for the ILS approach 07. But let's have a quick look at the weather as well. So it's still wind calm, Karbok, -3 degrees, QNH 1003. Okay, perfect. So we can fly our plan. So basically over here at Bitna, we need to be in 3000. So everything prior to that, we can just manipulate our controls. So Bitna 3000, and prior to that I am initially just going to delete all the restrictions. So 4000, clear, remove, enter. Look at that, 7000, that looks better. Alright, take those 4000, clear, remove, enter. 4400, so that's good as well. Also, we don't need that. Clear, enter. We don't need that one. Clear, enter. But we do need this one. So our top of descent is going to be, well, pretty much now, they say. There's just one last correction I want to do before we do that. The temperature is -3. That means we got to do a cold temperature correction. And basically, we add 170 feet to a 3000 restriction at these temperatures. That's just, I still know that one. So 3170 is going to be our altitude restriction. Enter that, and here we go. The final thing now that I want to do is, oops, no, I don't want to do any of that stuff. This is where I want to go. Oh, come on. Give me my cursor, please. Here we go. And this is what I want to change. Let's make it a 4-degree glide path. Oh, come on. Here we go. Okay. -4, here it is. 1,300 feet a minute. That looks good enough to me. Okay, perfect. So we've got 2.5 minutes to our top of descent. And that is this part. Alright, cool. So, everything looking good on the engines, everything looking good up here, top of descent in 2 minutes time. I suppose with us being en route now, let's take that back a little bit. Nicely on top, a little bit of snow down there. That's looking really cool, isn't it? I really like it. Do something like that. Yeah. I really like this. What did my camera do there? Here we go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Really like it. I really do. A little bit of rain over there. Okay, let's go back inside, back in our seat. Top of descent in a minute. That's just looking really, really good. You can say about the simulator whatever you want. You can complain about the flight dynamics as much as you want, but the visuals, in my opinion, make up for pretty much any of that. And let's be honest here, the system depth that we're getting with this airplane is superb. I mean, this is probably one of the best default aircraft that we've seen in a long while. If anybody of you out there actually flies an SR22T, then do let me know how you like that plane. But to me, it just feels right. Okay, let's start our descent. VNAV on. VNAV path is captured. And that altitude came down quickly. So our first restriction there was 4,000, so let's bring it down to that. Here we go, 4,000 set. Okay, QNH 1003. Here we go. Ooh, that was a bump. And what's that? 2962. Okay, perfect. Okay, and down we go. Let's bring up the star chart. Whoa! Man, it's turbulent today. Ouch! Let's reduce power a bit. What on earth is this? Is that FS realistic now? Let's just disable that once more. Okay, now it's out. Okay, that must have been FS realistic. Cause that was rather unrealistic. But look at that, yeah, we do face a little bit of turbulence here. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, we can live with that. Right, so a couple checklists to do. We totally forgot about the cruise checklist, or rather we just didn't have the time for it, so keep that in mind. So oxygen is required, cruise altitude established, power set, fuel pump as needed, mixture, yeah. That's it. Okay, known icing conditions in flight. Well, no longer. So we are just going to skip over that checklist. Okay, descent checklist. Oxygen as needed, altimeter set, cabin heat defrost as needed, landing light on, fuel system check, power lever as needed, rapid descent, we don't need to do that. So that's all checked. Okay, so one thing for us to keep an eye on as we're descending right now, obviously, is the fuel flow once again. As you can see, we are still on the lower side of the fuel flow, but generally okay. Okay, before landing is next, so we are not going to bother with that for now. Quick look towards the engine instruments. That's looking all good. We're indeed really at the lower end of the fuel flow scale, so let's just take that mixture lever and put it up a little bit. Might as well just bring it all the way to the top. Fuel flow increases a little bit above what we actually need, so we're wasting a little bit of fuel right now, but I suppose it's fine. Okay, cool. So that is that. Another cool thing, by the way, that is worth noting is the differences in altimeter indications. So we've got 3 different altimeter indications right now. Have a look at them. We're in flight level 120 on the barometric. On the GPS above ground level, we're at 11,000. Then we've got the density altitude, which is 10,000 over here. So 3 different levels of data. Let's quickly explain all of them. So the barometric just is the primary reference that we're using. But be aware that we are currently operating in conditions which are so much below ICAO standard atmosphere that we do have to do our cold temperature corrections. So if we look into the charts, let's quickly discuss those cold temperature corrections. Then you can see the MSA is 2,300 feet. Now there are tables available out there, or there are loads of apps which most pilots have on their iPhones. There's tables out there which are going to show you how many feet the altimeter underreads for a certain set of temperatures. For example, at about 3,000 feet above ground with the outside temperature at 0 degrees centigrade, your altimeter is basically going to show you about 170, 200 feet higher than you actually are. That was the reason why I changed the altitude restriction at our final approach phase. Because I want to be on the glide slope at that point, and the glide slope, being a ground-based radio signal which is not subject to cold temperature correction, the glide slope is not going to be affected from that altimeter error. Now, basically we need to do corrections for anything below the temperature corrected MSA. So let's say we just add 170 on that, maybe 150 or so would be accurate. Then we end up with an MSA of 2,450 feet. Anything below that, we need to correct. Anything above that, we don't need to correct. Personally, I like to correct the FAF anyway when I'm flying an airplane like this, or in the 737 as well. In the Airbus, you're not allowed to do that. In the 73, we did all the time. And when we did these corrections, basically we intercepted the glide without a little level segment. So, going back to the procedure we're flying, corrected MSA 2,450, so anything above that, like the 3,000 here, the 4,000 here, the 110 here, we don't need to correct any of that. And now, going back into our other instrumentation, you can see that barometric altitude is now 8,400 now, while the GPS altitude is 7,700. And the density altitude is even less. That's 6,700 right now, because this takes the temperature into account. Minus 15 degrees outside. But wait a minute, that eyesight deviation there is that correct? Minus 15? No. It should be minus 15 at 10,000. So something's wrong with the eyesight deviation down there. Or maybe there's something wrong with the temperature indications? Not 100% sure about that. We have another thermometer, minus 14. Minus 14, so that's correct, but the eyesight is not then. Because standard conditions on the ground is 15 degrees, and for every 1,000 feet altitude you lose 2 degrees centigrade. So at 7,000, we have 7 times 2, that's 14. So at 7,000, the temperature should be plus 1 degree. So if we're descending to 7,000 now we should have plus 1 centigrade in ICAO standard atmosphere. However, we are showing minus 13. So we are currently at ISAR minus 14 compared to the ISAR plus 3 we see down here. So that's an incorrect indication. Well, gonna pop that into the working title Discord for sure. Okay, so that's just a little of basic background there of what we're doing in aviation and some of the stuff that pilots need to be aware of when operating in cold weather conditions. Alright, in any case, we are now going to continue our descent and approach, and we will be entering some icing conditions over there, but I am going to wait turning on the ice protection system until we're just about to hit those clouds. Honestly, the sim looks beautiful. Look at those fields. It's been snowing, you can see that, but not a lot. This, by the way, is really what it looks like when you're flying in conditions like these. Like, some fields are totally clear, like you can see down there, while others may show you some signs of snow. That's really what it looks like. That's due to the different surface types on the ground. Some catch heat a little bit worse, or some a little bit better than others. Like here you can see there's some grass on it. Grass generally doesn't cool as quickly as soil, but look at that. Over here you've got soil, and that cools a bit better. And there's actually snow on it. That's quite cool. It actually shows us that some thought went into these things when Asobo designed them. That's really cool indeed. Okay, so talking so much that we're forgetting the more important stuff. Let's go to that approach chart. And chart option, just give me the minimums, please. That's Cat Alpha 253, 200 above ground. We need to add 20 feet to that, so 273 is going to be our minimums. Let's quickly go for that barrow. So we set 273, so give me 280, please. Here we go. Okay, looking good. So look at that, we're ending up directly on the glide slope. Okay, approach mode is armed. Localizer glide slope capture, we are bang on. That's exactly how it should be. Gives us a very good indication that the cold temperature correction Microsoft Flight Simulator applies these days is actually correct as well. That's quite cool. Didn't expect that. I really didn't. Okay, so approaching the final. Let's go over to the checklist. So, seatbelt and shoulder harness, secure, fuel pump, boost, mixture, full rich, it is already, flaps as required, autopilot as required. If icing conditions are anticipated, well, yeah, we'll just go through that, we'll see if there's any icing in that. Let's just flick it on while we fly through it. And into the high mode they set. Okay, we'll get rid of all that rest of that stuff. I don't think we'll encounter any actual icing. Okay, so approach speed between 80 and 85. The rest of it is as required with the flaps at 100. We can work with that. Not gonna read through all that stuff now, so we'll just go to the after landing next. Alright, just gonna leave that stuff as it is right now. Okay, slowly going to start pulling the power back a bit, as we want to reduce speed for the approach. By the way, that's again looking really beautiful out there, isn't it? Like, look at that. Really, really beautiful. There's a runway up there. Okay, now let's go back inside, focus on the flying. So power all the way to idle. Let's see, flaps 50%, speed is on 50 knots, so we can already take the flaps into the first notch. That should help with the deceleration. So flaps 50. And then we've got 110 for the flaps full, as we can see up there. Okay, passing 110, I'll just let the speed go back a little bit further. Yeah, 100 looks good to me. Flaps to 100. Flaps ice. Okay, that's copied. But we can actually take all of that stuff off now because we're outside the icing conditions. So, between 80 and 85 knots. I'm gonna keep 85 for now. And then we're stable through 1000. Look at that, it's really flying the ILS beautifully. Okay then. Autopilot disconnect. Do a little bit of going left and right here. Okay. That's looking quite cool indeed. Okay, getting a little high right now. Approaching minimum. Right back on profile. Minimum. Continue. Okay, let's reduce the speed to 180. And then let's see how my first landing is going to work out. Yaw damper coming off automatically. Very good. Okay, all visual now. Power off. And we're down. That looked quite okay to me. I mean, yeah, I flared it in a bit. Also, look at the glide stop warning on the display right now. That's the stabilized approach monitor as far as I am aware. And did you just notice a little bit of a nose wheel shimmy while I've really went hard on the brakes in order to get that airplane decelerated? Okay, some remains of snow on the banks of the taxiway, but the surface of the taxiway itself seems to really cleared here. So I am happy with that. Okay, so let's just vacate that runway completely, then we'll stop for a moment, do the after landing checks, and then we'll taxi to the apron. Now we got the course warning. That's looking quite good. Okay, cool. So only thing I'll do real quick without the checklist is stop the timer. 35 minutes of flight time is noted. And then don't need that go-around checklist, so let's go to the after landing. Power lever to 1000 RPMs. So let's just increase that slightly. Here we go. Fuel pump off or boost. We'll turn it off since it is rather cold. Mixture lean to obtain maximum idle RPM. So let's go a little bit outside. So let's see, we need 1000 RPMs over there like we have now. Then lean a bit. But I don't think we're going to see much of a change. Oh, there is some. Look at that, power is going up. Now it's going down again, so that's the idle RPM mixture. Then we'll just reduce it back to 1000. Okay, that is my power lever in idle right now. And look at that, we're getting more than 1000 RPMs. Quite cool. Okay, so that's done. Then, flaps up. Let's just quickly check that there is no ice on them before we actually move them. Okay, looks good. So, flaps going up. Transponder standby. It would actually be on the ground, but let's do standby if the procedure says so. Lights as required, so landing lights coming off, the rest we're going to keep on. Pitot heat switch off. Off. Ice protect system switches off. All off. Okay, pump backup switch off. Ice inspection light off, and that's it. Okay, cool. So that's our after landing stuff complete. So, pitot heat required. Yeah, no. But in order to get rid of the warning, I'll turn it on anyway. Alright, so what we can also do is turn that flight director off. And then with the after landing checklist complete, what I'll do is a quick trick over here that I like to use. So we go on to that thing here, IFR VFR charts, dial the range all the way down, And look at that, you've got a safe taxi system. That's part of the Navigraph features, by the way. But really cool, isn't it? Let's just quickly go into the settings. Yo, can we not turn it to... Okay, I kind of hope to put it into course up, but that's fine. Look at that. We've got safe taxi. Really like it. Okay then, power is off. Let's get it going. And now we can taxi to the apron. What's my first impression then of the brand new SR22 for our simulator? Well, number one, we are going to get it for free, provided you've got the Premium Deluxe Edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator. So that makes it very cool right from the beginning on. Now, it actually is a very comprehensive simulation. It did pretty much everything I expected it to do. It worked the way I expected it to do. So that's very, very cool. Now look at that, with a properly lean mixture over there, we're getting like 1,200 RPMs and the plane's actually accelerating on that. Gotta keep my speed under control here in order not to get too fast. But I honestly tell you, I'm really, really happy with how the airplane is right now. It's an absolute joy to fly, and I can honestly recommend any one of you. If you have the Premium Deluxe Edition, even if you are normally more like the airline guy, like I know many of my viewers actually are. If you are more of an airline guy, give this one a try. It's gonna come for free to your simulator. It's a splendid simulation. I really enjoy flying this. You're probably also gonna see more videos if this one is liked by many. So if you're interested in me doing more with that aircraft, then do put it in the comments below, and also let me know what you'd like me to do with that SR22. Overall, my conclusion, I really like it the way it is, and I'm really looking forward to that to get out of the beta, which it currently is in, and get released for everybody. But if you're interested, go and download the Sim Update 14 beta. Personally, I haven't had any problems with it, and you can already get hold of the SR22 right now with it. So absolutely worth checking out, in my opinion. It really is a splendid simulation. My congratulations to Working Title who worked on this. You guys did an awesome job with this. By the way, at that point, worth noting as well is that Lübeck Airport that we are on right now is part of the World Update Germany and is also looking really, really good. So that's what our default simulator has become, my friends. And that is really awesome, isn't it? Okay, we're going to go into the grass parking here. So a little bit of snow down here. Pitot heat is on anyway. Look at that, they did some proper lawn mowing next to the light pole. Okay, and stop over here. Okay, parking brake set. We can acknowledge that. Or at least we should be able to. Here we go. Okay, that's acknowledged. Then let's go back into the checklist and do the shutdown checklist. Fuel pump if used off, and it is off. Throttle, idle, it is. Ignition switch, cycle. So we're just gonna do... Okay, cycled. Mixture, cut off. Okay. All switches off, magneto off, ELT transmit light off, and that's gonna be it. So, alright, and that's it, my friend. Our very first flight on the SR22. A beautiful model. Really liked how it flew, even though I didn't do much hand flying here, but really liked it. Had a little bit of turbulence there that I'm not 100% sure about where that came from, and if that's supposed to be there or not, but can already tell you that it's that apart from that, it was an absolute joy to fly this one. So very well done, Working Title, and very much recommended for anybody looking into some general aviation flying experience. That's gonna be it for today. thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. Also leave a like on YouTube if you did like the video, as it does help with the algorithms, and subscribe if you're up for more. In the meantime, that's me signing off. If you really like my videos, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. But now I see you all again right on the next one.